Did you know over 60% of first-time clients do not return for a second visit? That is so painful, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's where Maya comes in. Maya is the ultimate marketing software for the beauty and wellness industry. We have a proprietary funnel utilizing special algorithms to help connect the right consumers with the right providers at your business. This means that Maya helps you get higher spending clients you love to work with who stay the long haul. If you want to increase your revenue, increase your client count, increase your average ticket, and increase your new client retention, then you need Maya. Go to joinmaya.com to set up your own personal virtual tour and see why over 500,000 consumers have trusted Maya and the businesses we work with to find their perfect beauty and wellness pro. We promise you will love Maya.
Thank you for joining me. This is Kati Whitledge, and you and I are together for a Thursday short conversation. I'm so thankful to be with you today. Guess what? I am going to bring you pivotal questions that you need to ask yourself as a leader, and I cannot take credit for this. This is from one of our salon book clubs. Our salon manager came and said, I think this should be one of the books that all of us as leaders should read. And we bought it. It's called The Making of a Manager by Julie Zhuo. Her last name is spelled Zhuo. So The Making of a Manager by Julie Zhuo. I'm probably destroying the pronunciation of her last name. She has an incredible background. She's one of Silicon Valley's top product design executives. She leads the teams behind some of the world's most popular mobile and web services used by billions of people every day. She writes about technology, design, and leadership on her blog, The Year of the Looking Glass. This is an incredible book. It's so good that our leadership team, which is everybody at Team Maya, is also going to be going through this book. So kudos to my salon manager for sourcing such a gem. And I would highly recommend this for you and your leadership team as well. And I just want to read you this little section. The first part in understanding how you lead is to know your strengths, the things you're talented at and love to do. This is crucial because great management typically comes from playing to your strengths rather than from fixing your weaknesses. So, first thing, what a relief it is to hear that we don't have to optimize the things that we are not naturally gifted at. Now, it kind of conflicts with the growth mindset. The growth mindset is if there's anything I desire to be great at, there is always a way to get better at it. There is no stopping point. You know, little kids at such a young age, I think it's like you're by the age of 6 years old or something wild like that, you already have these beliefs about yourself that are set for your whole life, such as, I'm not smart at math, or I'm not good at sports, I'm not coordinated, or I'm funny, I'm pretty. Well, all of these sound like long term, it could lead to disappointment. It could lead to a stopping point in your progress, your development. If you believe that you're pretty, that's not a bad thing. But if your identity is tied and your self worth is tied to your appearance, that is a recipe for disaster because beauty fades. Your character lives forever. And so those are things like it's so interesting that at such a young age we have come to that. I swear to you, like my struggle with obesity is tied to that. At a very, very young age, my grandma said to me, well, you're just big boned like your dad. No, I'm not. But I didn't know that. I believe she was telling the truth. I believed out of all the kids that were birthed in my family, I was the one who was just supposed to be the fat girl and be chubby like my dad. And I lived out that self prophecy for literally about 40 years. 40 years, you guys. Like, that is unreal. And sometimes it takes a major life shift to realize you don't have to be the way you thought you were supposed to be when you were little. So now, coming back to, you have these natural strengths though. Do you focus on your weaknesses, your areas that just do not come naturally? Possibly, like, you don't want to give up on that. You always want, especially as a leader, if there's any leadership skill that you don't naturally have, let me just say one thing: being a good listener. It is not acceptable to say, well, that's not a strength of mine, and so I'm just not going to focus on it. That's not what we're saying here. Maybe we're saying that one of your strengths is developing other leaders, being able to coach them. That should be the thing that you spend 80% of your energy on, while being aware of your shortcomings and refusing to settle and say, oh, this area is not a strength, so I'm going to just give it less attention, give up on it. So to me, it was like, okay, let's play to our strengths. Let's figure out what that is. And then she goes into these questions that I think are so helpful that I want to share them with you. So the first question is, how would the people you know and like best, or that like you best? So this would be your family or significant other, your close friends. Okay, so how would these people in your life describe you in 3 words? Now, I haven't said to go and ask them, how would you describe me in 3 words? So just first write down, what do you think they would say? For me, it was funny because I was like, well, here's what I want them to say. Is that going to be what they actually say? But what do you think they'd say, truthfully? The second question is, what 3 qualities do you possess that you are the proudest of? What are you the proudest of? What are those qualities, those 3 qualities that you are the most proud about? The next question: when you look back on something that you did that was successful, this is interesting, what personal trait do you give credit to? Isn't that cool? So it wasn't about, oh, I give credit to figuring out this tactical or technical issue or whatnot. It's like, what's the personal characteristic, that trait about you that you would give credit to, that thing that you were successful in or at, that you look back on? I love that. What are the top 3 most common pieces of positive feedback that you receive from your higher up or peers? So when your peers, your colleagues, maybe the owner, or if you are the owner, maybe other people that work with you, that maybe you're part of a coaching group or a community within the industry or a local business community, networking community, what common pieces of positive feedback do you receive from them? I'm going to go through these again and I'm going to share with you what she put as examples. So you're like, okay, let me get this straight. So how would the people that I know best describe me in 3 words? And Julie shared thoughtful, enthusiastic, driven. Okay, what would those 3 words be for you? Then, what 3 qualities do you possess that you're the proudest of? Her answer was curious, reflective, optimistic. When you look back on something you did that was successful, what personal traits do you give credit to? And she wrote vision, determination, humility. And lastly, what are the top 3 most common pieces of positive feedback that you've received from managers, peers, colleagues? Her answer was principled, fast learner, long term thinker. So she goes on. So this is just part one, right? Like identifying what are your strengths. So it'll be interesting to see what you believe about yourself already. And what I love is she really attacks the imposter syndrome. What might that look like? For most of us, it's like other people might find out that I'm not as great as I try to put out that I am, or they're going to find out that I'm not as smart as I hope people think I am, things like that. That's imposter syndrome. And she really attacks and addresses that, which I think is so important because it's a stopping point if you allow those things to limit your belief about yourself and therefore the courage necessary to take the actions to get to a whole nother level in your leadership, in your life, in your career. So she goes on to say that the second part of this is getting an honest reckoning with yourself about knowing your weaknesses and triggers. Holy cow. So you may not have weaknesses such as, like, let's say maybe you're a great listener. Being a poor listener is not a weakness of yours, but you might hear something you don't like and that might trigger you. Have you ever really confronted that? What are your triggers? I thought this was so helpful. So I'm going to give you now the questions that she's going to prompt you to ask yourself when it comes to identifying your weaknesses and triggers. First question is, whenever your worst inner critic sits on your shoulder, what do they yell at you for? Whenever your worst critic sits on your shoulder, what do they yell at you for? The next question. If a magical fairy were to come and bestow upon you 3 gifts you don't already have, what would they be? Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? Like, I love that question. Like, ooh, if anything could come true, a genie in a bottle, what 3 gifts would I bestow upon myself? The next question is, what are 3 things that trigger you? Now, here's what I like. She says, a trigger is a situation that gets you more worked up than it should. A trigger is a situation that gets you more worked up than it should. What are the top 3 most common pieces of feedback from managers, peers, colleagues on how you could be more effective? Notice she didn't go on to say what your weaknesses are. What are your areas of growth? She just said, how can you be more effective? So I'm going to go back through these one more time. I'm going to share what she wrote as her answer. Whenever your worst inner critic sits on your shoulder, what are they yelling at you for? And she wrote, getting distracted and worrying too much about what others think and not voicing what I believe. Interesting. Do you get hung up on what other people think? Now, Julie says that she doesn't then voice her opinion or what she believes. I'd be the opposite. I get so worried about what others might think. I speculate what they might be thinking, and then I go out of my way to voice my beliefs and opinions to defend my positioning that they may not even be considering. Like, it was unnecessary use of time, energy to say it, all of that, Katie. Chill out, right? Well, you never know. So, what would that be for you? For your worst inner critic? What are they yelling at you for? When she asks, if a magical fairy were to come and bestow 3 gifts upon you, what would they be? Her answer was bottomless well of self-confidence. Bottomless well of confidence, clarity of thought, and incredible persuasion. I appreciate that she wrote her answers because, like, when you think about, well, geez, what do I actually want? Sometimes it's hard to know what's possible to want. I want incredible persuasion. I would love to have the ability to have incredible persuasion. Clarity of thought. How many of you are like, yes, I want that? I want clarity of thought. So interesting that she gives you kind of prompts and ideas for that. I didn't want to look at what she had written before I wrote my own because I wanted to just write out what is the first gut response that came to my mind. What hit me, and then I could expand my ideas from there. But you can take that for what it's worth and do your own. Okay, this one's big. What are three things that trigger you? What are three things that trigger you? And she said, a sense of injustice, the idea that someone else thinks I'm incompetent, and people with inflated egos. When you're in a meeting or among your other leaders or with your team, what triggers you? Start maybe keeping in your little, like your iPhone. I say iPhone like we all have one. Okay, your phone. If you have a notes app, maybe create a note called triggers. And when you notice yourself, I did this with social media a long time ago. When you notice yourself walking away emotional, and it could be that you're pissed off, you're angry, you just feel like, gross. You feel maybe sad and hurt, or you just might feel this sense of anxiety that you can't put your finger on. Write down what happened. For me, I did this forever ago with social media when all of a sudden I was shut down. I was irritable. I was short with my family. And I was like, what was that? What did I just see? What triggered me? And I started making note so that I could identify. And I'll tell you this, I had people that are good people, but I had to stop following them because I couldn't handle seeing it. I couldn't handle seeing what was out there. I wish I was stronger than that, but I think it takes strength to say, hey, this is a trigger for me. I don't want it to put me in a bad mood until I get to a point where that doesn't affect me emotionally. I'm for now going to turn that off. Now, around your entire team, you cannot turn that off unless it's something where you're around a specific person with a specific attitude and it never ends. Maybe then it is time to turn that off and make a change. But it'll be interesting what that is for you. What are three things that trigger you? And remember, a trigger is when you get worked up unnecessarily, more than you should, and maybe start taking note of things in and throughout the day that trigger you. And lastly, what are the top three most common pieces of feedback from others that are shared with you on how you can be more effective? Now, here's what I suspect. If you're an owner, the highest up on the team, you're probably not getting that feedback truly. And I think that most people love you. That's why they choose to work with you and be a part of what you have going on. They believe that you're a great leader. What you've created is special. They want to be a part of it. They have been given autonomy and ownership and the ability to make it their own as well. And so, because of their level of respect and care for you, they may not share negative feedback well or as often, or even are given the chance to sit and think about it. So one of the things she goes on to say, and I want you to get the book, it's so good, but she goes on to say, you need to like demand it, and you need to promise and say, I promise I won't take this personally, but I need you to find three things that I need to work on. You have to. And if you want to make that an anonymous form that people fill out, fine. She doesn't say to do that. Like, she wants to know directly from people. And we're teaching people good things. We're teaching people if they can say things directly in speaking truth in love, right? This is a biblical principle. Speaking truth in love, knowing that people don't care what you know unless they know they care. So in a caring way, can there be delivered authentic, true feedback that will help you become better? And you got to demand say, I need three things. You have to tell me three things that I need to work on and grow on. I'll tell you the thing that is shared with me. I have a tendency to get really excited in the moment. I hype something up. Maybe you know me well, and this has happened in our relationship. I'm hyped up about something, I'm excited. And what do? I just say out loud the dream. Oh, this is going to be great. We're going to do this. Let's do this. And I get everybody riled up and excited about something, which then may not ever happen, which means I'm over promising and under delivering or not delivering at all. So I've really had to take a step back and be like, knowing my personality, and I get so excited about dreaming and ideas and creativity. Who or how can I share this? How can I get it off my chest? Who can I get excited about this with? And usually it's my husband. Thank you, Anson, for your patience. Where he's like, wait a minute. So we're getting a second home in Hawaii or Florida or, we're in Tennessee. Like all of a sudden I'll be like, here's my huge dream. And I'll be like, wait, we're not going to change our whole lives for, so he's used to this and brings me down to earth. But for you, just, sorry, checking yourself. Who are the safe places that you can share things that are not ready for everybody's ears? People get really like excited about those things. And that was my thing. Stop over promising and under delivering in the form of getting very, very hyped up and excited about ideas or things that you want to do that really you don't know if that can happen or should happen or will happen. So check yourself. So that was for me. That is one of my areas. Friends, I hope that today's conversation was like, ooh, these are good. These are good questions. And by the way, she has so many more. This book is filled with a lot of introspective opportunities, but just also great, great framework for all leaders on your team. Anybody in any position on your team could benefit from this book. So again, it's called The Making of a Manager by Julie Zhuo. And I highly, highly recommend getting this, and let me know if you do and what your takeaways are. I would love that. And if you love this podcast, please take a moment, leave us a 5-star review so that more people like you will discover Beyond the Technique, where we're here to change the way that you are supported in your business. Until next time, have an awesome day and stay strong.